Welcome to Mickey Study Circle channel. In this video, we shall see how to create the assembly of the ball bearing component using the various parts that we have created in the previous videos. So now, before we start, let us open the assembly mode in the SolidWorks. So click on the assembly and click OK. So there is something called as insert components in the assembly mode. So if I click on this, a dialog box will open showing all the parts that were created recently. So the first part that I'm going to select shall act as the parent part. That means all the assemblies will be done with respect to that particular part as the reference. So here let me select the outer race component and click open. So I'm going to begin my assembly of the other components with respect to the features or the profile planes of this particular component, that is the outer race. So next component I'll take up is the inner race. So you can just see that in the window, there are two components, the outer race and the inner race. So now let us see how the assembly made between the two parts can be created. So let me begin with selecting the whole of the inner race with the outer dia of the outer race, and the two components are selected using the control key pressed on the keyboard. And now let me select the mate option. So it is showing the most probable type of mate, that is concentric. So you can just see it here or here also. And ensure that you are not clicking on this lock rotation because it has to move along with the rotating shaft that is going to house inside it. So just click OK. And next you can just see here in the tree, if you just click on the mate, it is going to show the features. So the orange color is the inner dia of the inner race, and the purple one is the outer dia of the outer race. So these two are concentric. That means what? The center of both the components are same. So the orange and the purple center points are the same. So this is the first type of mate. Next is, let me just open the tree here and select show the right plane of the inner race. And in the outer race, let me select show the right plane of the outer race. So now press the control key and select the right planes of both the components. And next click on mate, and you can just see that it is showing the most appropriate type of mate, and here it is coincident. So just click OK. So now you can just see that the inner race and the outer race are aligned. So I cannot just move any of this. So the moment is arrested. But whereas I can just rotate this about the center point. So this is the first assembly that we have done, that is with respect to the outer and the inner race. So the next component that we are going to select is the cage. So for that, again, let us go for insert components and select the cage, which is the part number 3, and click open, and the part is going to come here on the screen. So now again let us begin the assembly. So how do we assemble this cage with respect to the outer race? So we will select the outer dia of the cage and then the inner uh, hole of the inner race. Okay, and then we will just go for the mate option. So it is showing as concentric. Yes, it has to be concentric. So I can just reverse the direction. I'll just reverse this way. So you can just see that it is exactly concentric. So this is the first thing. So the next part is this particular component, that is the cage is concentric with both the outer and the inner race, but however it is free to move, so we need to arrest this moment. So what I'll do is I'll select this particular face of the cage and align that with the right plane of the outer race. So let me select the right plane of the outer race. So now I've selected the face and the right plane. So you can just see that I'll tell it is coincident. So now you can just see that the part has entered into this right plane of the outer race. So if you want to see that like how it is, like placed inside the race track, and if you're not able to make the difference between the components, what you can do is you can just close all this parts here and select the outer race and make it as height component. So this is how it has been settled. You can just see here, right? So the outer race is hidden now, and you can see the features of the cage being assembled with respect to the right plane of the inner and the outer rays like this. So now we will go for inserting the rolling element, that is the balls. So go for insert component, insert, and then select the rolling element, click OK, and the rolling element is there on the screen. So now the assembly between this is select this particular rolling element and this particular face and go for mate, and it is coincident or concentric. So just click OK. So you can just see that the ball is being placed like this, right? So it is not moving. So this is the next assembly, that is the assembly of the rolling element with respect to the cage. So this is the pitch circle, so nothing to get confused. So this part is done. So now what we can do is we have to go for inserting this rolling element in the other spaces like this. So circular component pattern, the components to be patterned is this rolling element in the direction, select this, and then till 7, click OK. So you can just see that the 7 rolling elements have been inserted like this, correct? So this is the next step. So we have assembled the rolling elements with respect to the cage, which has been in turn assembled with respect to the inner and the outer races. Done. So next we'll go for the next component. So just click on insert component. So we need to have the rivet. So I'll click open by selecting the rivet. So now the rivet is there in the window. So how do we assemble this rivet? So we'll select this particular part of the rivet, that is the cylindrical part of the rivet. Okay, and next the whole component on the cage, and click on mate, and I'll make it concentric. So you can just see that concentric is selected, and let me click on lock rotation, click OK. So now the component is concentric with respect to this. So I need one more feature to make the assembly. So that feature is I'll select the lower portion of the face of the rivet and this particular upper portion of the cage, click on mate and make it coincident, click OK. So you can just see that the rivet is fixed to the cage. So we have got the cage coming in this particular face also, so that will be housed on this particular face of the rivet. We'll see it later. So this is just the first half of the cage. The second half of the cage will sit on this remaining portion of the rivet. Done. So we can just see how the assembly has been done for the rivet and the cage. Right. So we'll go for inserting 7 such rivets. So let me just go for the circular component and select the components to be uh, patterned. So the rivet is the pattern, I mean component to be patterned. And next click on direction here and select the whole of the inner race and enter the number of components as 7. Click OK. So now we can just see that the 7 rivets are assembled into the cage. So this is the next component. So the next step is we need to insert the shield after the rivet and the rolling elements have been assembled. So let me just click on shield and click open. So now the shield is there. So the shield has to be assembled with reference to the outer race. So what I'll do is I'll simply click on outer race on this window and make it as show component. So now you can just see that the components is shown. So if you're getting confused with the inner race with the assembly process, just click on hide components, select the cage, click on hide components. Okay, so now you can just see that all the components that I've told it as hide, they're not been shown, right? So I'll click on rolling elements, hide component, rivet, hide component. So now the assembly is just this. So the first reference part only has been hidden, not all the components. So now this is the uh, shield. So the shield has to be aligned with respect to the outer race. So I can just see how the assembly could be done. So let me just move it away. So now I'll be selecting the outer circle of the shield, and then the outer circle of this particular outer race, click on mate and make it as concentric, and then click on lock rotation and click OK. So I can just see this particular component is being moved with respect to the concentric nature of the outer rays, correct? So here I can just click on concentric circle, I mean concentric mate, click on edit feature. So I'll just reverse the mate, done. So this is how it is. So this part, I'm going to select this face of the shield, the outermost face, and then I'm going to select the outermost face of the race, outer race, and click OK. So it is coincident. So this is how the assembly has to be done with respect to the shield. And the final component that we have got is the snap ring. So before we insert the snap ring, let me just go tell all the show all the hidden components. So you can just see that all the components will be shown. So you can use that option, or you can individually select and make them as visible. So this is the assembly, right? So now we need to insert the snap ring. So where do we insert the snap ring? So let us go for insert components, select snap ring, click open. So the snap ring is available on the screen. So again, we'll select the outer diameter of the snap ring, and then the outer diameter of the race, go for mate and make it concentric, click OK. So I can just move this. So now it has to go assemble to the gap here, you can see, correct? So on the shield, so let me just select this particular face of the snap ring and the face on the shield, and then click on mate, make it coincident. So made the selection. So let me just reselect the faces, that is this particular face of the shield one. So make it coincident, click on the last part, that is the coincident edit feature, and then okay, so the feature is locked, so not an issue. So if it was unlocked, just lock it. So now you can just see that the snap ring has been inserted here like this. So the snap ring on the shield and this part, right? So now we could require the other half to be done the same way here. That is, the other half of the cage must come, and then the shield and followed by the snap ring. So for that, what I can do is, here there is something called as mirror components. So it is asking the components to mirror. So I'll select all the components, that is um, so select the plane first. So let me select, so in the mirror plane, I'll select from the tree, I'll select the right plane of the outer race, and then the components to mirror is the uh, cage, shield, and the snap ring. I'll click OK. So now you can just see that the components are mirrored on both the sides. So if I just click on this particular component, that is the assembly, correct? And then if I just click on change the transparency, you can just see like how the assembly has been done. So the rolling elements are enclosed by the cages on the both the directions of the rolling elements, and the rivet is housing both of them, and there is the snap ring, okay, which is sitting on the shield. Okay, so this is the inner race, followed by the shield and the snap ring, and then the outer race. So this completes the assembly of the ball bearing from all the parts that we have created. Thank you all for watching.